Chad, hey, congratulations on your new film, The Other People.
Thank you so very much. We're excited to be here and be on the show.
You know what? More of a congratulations is making a showcase at Cinequest this year, one of the most prestigious film festivals around the world. How do you feel about that?
Well, we've been trying to get into Cinequest for a really long time, actually. We've made seven short films, my brother and I, and we've submitted, I think, five of them before. So getting this on the first feature has been really exciting.
I was gonna say, first feature film over short films, that is quite indeed an accomplishment.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
so let me ask that first an obligatory question: where the original idea came from for The Other People?
The original idea came from a joke that our dad used to do. Trey and I are brothers, and our dad used to, like, when we would leave the house, he would turn and lock the house behind us as we were heading to the car. And after he locked it, he would ring the doorbell, and then he would turn to us and he would say, "I just wanted to see if anybody would answer." And we'd laugh because obviously nobody could answer because the house is empty. But this idea was originally born out of the question of what if somebody could answer, and who would that be, and what would that look like, and what would their life be like. And then it gets pretty scary from there pretty quickly.
Now, can you tell us about crafting this story and making it into sort of a horror genre in its own way?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, after that initial inspiration, we started putting the story together about these other people that live, you know, secretly in houses, essentially, and um, in the research portion of putting the script together, there's a great deal of actual, real news stories of this happening. We found mountains and mountains of very disturbing little news items of people living this way. Um, and it's just kind of a creepy idea, It's just that you're in a room and you think you're alone, and you're not alone. Like that. I think that lends itself to a horror depiction very quickly.
Yes, absolutely. When you were crafting this other people, were there any type of debate on whether you were going to basically make them physical or monstrous or even like spiritual, like ghosts?
We want the natural or supernatural elements to be fairly vague. We have our own answers about what that is, but I personally really like the audience to be able to interpret that on their own and have their own experience with it. Um, but I was very purposeful in crafting their look, that I didn't want them to be actually monstrous in any real way. Like, I didn't want to do a lot of disfigurement or have them have really dirty, weird hands or anything. Like, I wanted them to feel like people. They're just other people.
Now, shadows play an important part of your film. Of course, when I was watching it, I kept on thinking they're like shadow people. But tell us about using the dark silhouettes to haunt people and how lighting could be a very big challenge for your film.
Yeah, that all props go to our DP Jeremy Mackey for being the genius that figured out how to do that. The house that we shot in is really small, and so the it looks a lot bigger on screen than it is in real life. The Specifically, the rooms are really closed in. I mean, that the character Abby, her bedroom, which we spend a lot of time in the film, is like a 12 by 12 space with a huge bed in it. And so, like, um, for those that have done a lot of lighting, a problem with that, especially if you have lighter colored walls, is that you put one light up and it just spills all over the place. And so, like, the notion that you could have one singular person stand in that space and not have any light fall on them was a huge challenge. We did a lot of different things to achieve that. Jeremy and Alex, our gaffer, and Tyler Buckholtz, our key grip, had all kinds of special rigging, special lights that would just sort of wash the wall behind them, behind the character, and keeping all light off of them. We blacked out the ceiling with this like special material so that they wouldn't spill light everywhere. It was a massive challenge, and we didn't always win in production, and so there's a couple of times in which our colorist Brett Wayne Price helped us out a little bit in post in the moments in which it didn't quite fully silhouette.
So you didn't have to use like special effects for a film like this. It was all practical in its own sense.
Well, there's a great many special effects in the film, but I hope that nobody sees them. I did all the visual effects for the movie, and there was 286 effect shots in the film, but none of them have to do with the lighting or the silhouette. They're mainly, you know, making sure that there's interesting things in the sky, and there's a couple of spots with some blood that isn't real, and different things like that. Just little elements that you add in that are attempted to add in very realistically, but the focus was on the practical every chance we had to do that.
Now, was the house was just a location convenience that you just needed a house, or you specifically looked for a specific house for your case?
Well, we specifically looked for a specific house because that's my house. Um, which makes it very easily accessible because I live there. But we it wasn't just a budgetary reason for shooting there. We wrote the script in that house. Like there's a William's office is my office, and so we wrote the film there. And the geography of the home is really important to the like mechanics of the stories. Someone's here and then they're over there and all of that stuff. And I wanted them to be able to realistically do the things that they're doing. And so we started in like I think draft 4 or 5 of the scripts, started using my own home's geography just as a placeholder, thinking that we'll revamp all of this stuff whenever we find the location. And as we started putting it together, we just it increasingly became apparent that we were just going to shoot in my house. And so my wife and I had to move out for the entirety of the time. We have a very great a mentor of mine let us stay in his house during production, which was very helpful. But yeah, I mean, the house plays an incredibly important role, and we also wanted it to be, not a particularly scary house, right? Not like a big, like gothic, like haunted house sort of thing. It needs to feel suburban. Every house could be your house. It needs to be that sort of feel.
Well, you know what? Kudos to you being a writer, director, producer, and set decorator all at the same time.
Well, my wife did a lot of set decorating, and obviously our production designer Selby did a great deal. She had a good team.
Well said. Now tell us about the cast, how you landed with Lyndie and Bryce as your two
Oh,
main leads.
oh my God, the cast is incredible. I've never been more proud of a group of actors that I've worked with. Lyndie Greenwood is a absolute superstar. We were very very lucky to have her. We our cast was put together by Bass Casting, Jordan and Lauren Bass. We hired them on to help us put this thing together. And Lyndie and Bryce both were on a very short list of, like in the casting process, you get there's like you can get tapes and you can watch tapes, or you can make offers to people. And we got lists of people who were open to offers for this project. Lyndie and Bryce were on it, and I knew I was much more aware of Lyndie's work at the time than Bryce's, because she had been in a friend of mine's film called Cut to the Chase, and so I had seen her perform, and I could call my buddy Blaine and be like, "Hey, what's Lyndie like as a person?" And he had nothing but gushing wonderful things to say, and so I crossed my fingers and sent her a big long letter and said, "Please be in the movie." And thankfully she said yes. And then Bryce is essentially the same way. We sent Bryce a very similar letter asking him, like, please be in my movie, but I had no direct connection with him ahead of time, but we'd watched all the stuff from his reel and all the a couple of the films that he's in, and I think that anybody that's fans of these people, um, this is a these are roles that I don't think that they've really that have meat to it, that they've not really had much of a chance to show. I think Bryce especially is he usually plays like this kind of jock kind of a guy that is a bit of a jerk to people, and this more kind of reserved intellectual professor role is a really incredible turn for him, I think.
I'm pretty sure that for both actors, they have that horror experience under the belt that makes your job a little bit easier.
Definitely, definitely. And I mean, all of the it's always really interesting to work with people that have done a lot of television, because television you have to work so quickly, and so everybody really knows they know their lines, they know where they're supposed to stand, they get in there and they hit their mark, and it sometimes takes a little while, because we can you get to say, like, hey, we're making an indie movie, and we can like take time and we can do multiple takes, and we're going to shoot it from a bunch of angles, and it's going to be a little bit different than that. It's just incredible. And I mean, the rest of our cast, like Valentina, who plays Abby, the little girl, she's out of this world spectacular. We cast her off of a tape. We had Jordan and Lauren went through. I mean, I think well over 1,000 tapes of different stripes, and Valentina has that really, really rare quality of being a child actor that still feels like a child, that hasn't had her innocence entirely pulled out of her by the learning of how to perform. And so they're all incredible. Several of them we cast off tape. Ashley Crow, we made an offer to, and we were so incredibly lucky to have her. Those scenes with Lyndie and Valentina and Ashley in the RV are my favorite scenes in the movie, at least some of them. And then I think everybody else was tapes. But yeah, that's the casting process.
That's amazing, especially the fact that I was going to bring up Valentina for sure, because they always say never to work with children and animals, but if you indicated that Valentina has that pure innocence as a child, I don't know how you would actually direct someone like that on set.
I mean, you just talk to them. I know that people say don't work with animals, don't work with children. I think that that's entirely wrong. I love working with kids. I haven't done a bunch of work with animals, but I love them. I wanted to put a dog in the movie. Trey wouldn't let me. But the I mean, there's not any trick to it. You just talk to them. I mean, like the thing to remember that I think a lot of people forget with age-related things in general, with speaking to really young children and speaking to the elderly. There's a common process of speaking to them like they're not just regular people, and I find that to be the trick. That if we're doing a scene and I want Valentina to do something different than she did, there's you just ask her to do it, and then if she does it and does it well, then you say good job, and if she doesn't do it well, you ask her to do it again. There's not any different process, and she's incredibly professional, and really some actors really respond well to a kind of puppeteering, for a lack of a somewhat nicer word. But yeah, like the notion of do that again but lean a little forward, say that line slower, like the mechanical direction. She knew her script so well and knew the intentions of the scene so well, and so surprisingly well, that we really just worked on mechanics when she would get in there, just like do that again and give me options. Like she was one of the performers in the film that I had the most options from. Like, she would do it multiple different ways at my request, just to try to see what the scene would be like. She's an absolute pleasure to work with. And I can't wait to see her. She's coming here to San Jose on Saturday, and I haven't seen her since we wrapped production, which was almost 4 years ago. So I'm very, very excited to see her. She's gonna be all grown up at this point. It feels like.
Well, she did a fine job, and she's going to be quite surprised looking at herself on screen at that point. Then, Chad, I understand this is your first feature film directorial debut. After numerous shorts. How was that experience overall for you?
Um, I mean, it's all I want to do. I would get up and direct films every day if somebody would let me. I love being on set. I love doing pre-production. I love doing post-production. I love doing this part. The the post-production process can get really lonely, I think, and that happens for any position. What's the wonderful thing about film festivals is that you kind of get all of these, like, kind of lonely cave dwelling people into one big thing, and we can commiserate over all of the ups and downs and tribulations that we've had, and it's re-energizing events like Cinequest. But I didn't particularly find, like, the feature takes a lot longer to make than a short film does, but the process to me isn't particularly different. It's just larger. You just have to do it more and for longer. And a lot of the sort of I mean, we just produced a short film in Nashville right before we came here to Cinequest. We just finished the sort of principal photography on that. And it had all tons of locations, and we were in pre-production on it for a month. And the process of shooting it, we shot initial photography and then did a pickup day, and there was editing in between. And I mean, that whole thing, we've been working on that since September. Like, I mean, that is September to March for this short film that's going to be 10 minutes, and we shot only 6 days, I think, for it. But when we shot this in 2021, this feature, we didn't really even start pre-production till probably late July, early August. And then we did principal photography in October and November. And then we did pickups in March, and then we were done. So, like, the timeline of I'm actively dealing with this every day is not much different. You just have to do more shooting, and there's more people involved and stuff. So and you can get away with a lot more.
So do you have another feature film in mind, or you're just filling in the blanks with short films right now?
No, no, no. We have a whole stack of scripts, and on top of that stack of scripts, we have a stack of pitches and summaries and outlines of all genres. There's a the plan as it is right now is to sometime in the next year put together a romantic comedy,
Hmm.
which is a bit of a departure from what this film is, but that's the one. If we end up making the next feature in the same way in which we had to make this one, which is fully putting it together, raising all the funding ourselves. The next one will be that romantic comedy, but if everybody comes to Cinequest and they see the world premiere and they think that this film's incredible, then if they want to roll right into a sequel, we have an outline. If they want another horror movie, we got three. You know, any of those sort of things, we're ready to go. We got it.
Well, you have everything lined up. Well, Chad, I've taken a lot of your time, but I do want to leave with one last thought, though, because for people who actually watch the film, I wanted to know whether you and Trey had a debate on the face reveal of the other people.
Not really a debate. There was a massive debate of um, I mean, there was a debate over who that reveal would be. Um, Significantly, we the different character names, they're not really used in the film, but they're sort of our shorthand for talking about them. And the biggest of the reveals is the character we call Curly. She's like the other woman. And that character was significantly different before Liz Atwater sent her tape in. She had an interpretation of who that character was that I found to hit to the core of the themes of this movie much more than we had even imagined in the script. And there the line in the movie was the line in the script, and the action of the script was that Curly pulls her hair back and revealing her face, and she's oddly beautiful was the phrase that we used, which doesn't describe Liz Atwater at all. She's just actually beautiful, and the but it's again, I think that it was a really important to me for there not to be disfigurement as horror. I think that that's becoming that is a trope that's existed for a really, really long time. I think that it's not really the world that we're wanting to live in. The of people that actually do live with some version of disfigurement, those sorts of movies can be irresponsible in some way, and it makes the life of strangers somewhat harder. And not that that's a thing that everybody has to stay away from, but in this film particularly, where we're essentially comparing very starkly different ways of life, I didn't particularly want that either way of life to have a specific look
Mm.
of like they live this way because they look like this, right? Because it's not about that. It's about where I didn't want it to be about that. It's more thematic than that. It's more intellectual than that. It's more dogmatic. It's cultural. It's like the culmination of of multiple decisions by individuals. It's groupthink, you know, like it's not, but it's not because your face is scary, or it's not because your hands are gross. And that was really, really important to us. But I mean, specifically the face reveal and the way that it happens, now that's all the doing of casting, and you know, Liz Atwater and Hank Quillen, that plays our big scary guy, who is scary, but he's not actually scary in real life. He's delightful. He'll also be here. Liz will be here. Liz Atwater's coming. Bryce Johnson's coming. Lyndie Greenwood is coming. Quinlan Ash is coming, who plays Emily, who's another spectacular performer. All these people will be here. Valentina, our DP Jeremy Mackey. So if people want to meet all these folks, Saturday 9:15,
You
California
know,
Theater. This is where it happens.
the California Theater is a great theater. I've been in there for a few films, and it is a terrific place to watch it. So, Chad, thank you very much for speaking to us about the other people. I can't wait to see what you follow up with this, whether it's another horror or a romantic comedy. But you know what?
Yeah.
This is a great first feature film for you under your belt. So, thank you
Thank
very
you
much, Chad.
so thank you so very much. Will we see you on Saturday night?
I'm gonna try. I'm about 2-3 hours away from San Jose, so we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, and thanks for taking the time.